Cricket balls are red, baseballs are white, American footballs are brown, and tennis balls are yellow. We don't even think about it really, but the story behind the tennis ball is actually quite interesting and even involves Sir David Attenborough. I know. Well, here's the tale. Tennis is widely known to be a French sport. It dates back to the 12th century when people used handmade balls, and it was then called tennis, which is the verb to hold in French. And people used some pretty wacky material to make the balls with: cork, wool, chalk, animal fur, and even human hair. A few centuries on, Germany got dead into the tennis too, but wanted to make a few modifications to the ball to make it a bit more effective. Around this time, an American chemist had just created something called vulcanized rubber. Out of that, people started developing air-filled rubber balls, which were properly bouncy, but either red or grey in colour. These were manufactured in Melton Mowbray. That's right, the home of the pork pie. One problem: the balls kept on breaking on impact with the racket. The call of "new balls please" seemingly coming over every other point. Step forward English lawyer and tennis enthusiast John Moyer Heathcote, who suggested balls be covered in flannel to stop them from degrading. And thus the modern-day tennis ball was born. But these were white or black, so how did they become yellow? Well, in 1967, the controller of BBC Two, one Sir David Attenborough, decided the corporation should show Wimbledon on colour TV. He got his wish, and it was wide into people's homes across the country. The only sticking point: the white balls were nearly impossible to see on the screen. So the International Tennis Federation, sensing an opportunity, started developing a new ball that would be visible even without the need for 4K LED displays. Not that anyone had that in the late 60s. After rigorous testing, they came up with the colour optic yellow and decided every ball be coated in that colour from there on in. And there you have it. Tennis balls are yellow, all because Sir David Attenborough wanted to watch Wimbledon from the comfort of his own front room. You could say the ITF aced it.
Welcome to Record-Breaking Sports. We're here on talkSPORT with me, your host Jason Kelly, joined by the Arsenal legend that is Mr. Perry Groves.
Buenas noches, senor. Buenas noches. Give me shivers.
We're going to start with Alexander Isak, who has told Newcastle he won't play for them ever again if he doesn't get his move to Liverpool this summer. Newcastle fans, is there any way back for him if that move doesn't go through? Methinks not. Liverpool fans, you want a player like that? Or do you like I probably feel you feel? You don't care if you score goals. What do you think? 03717 223344. Elsewhere, the Carabao Cup is back and we've seen some huge results. Ipswich out, they lose on pens to League Two. Bromley, Doncaster smash Middlesbrough 4-0 and Wrexham go through on pens against Hull. And we bring you all the fallout from those games throughout the show. You've been to a game? Pick up the phone and tell us about 03717 223344. We've also got the midnight train, no sport, no politics, no religion, nothing too serious. That's around about midnight, as you can guess by the name of it. And we'll also be discussing the future of Palace midfielder Ibrahim Eze after Spurs join the race for his signature this summer. You know what to do. We cannot do the show without you. Pick up the phone and get involved. 03717 223344. It's the Sports Bar live here on talkSPORT. Good evening, Mr. Perry Groves.
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
In your short shorts.
My short shorts.
Nigel's on.
Do you know what, mate? If you can't get the shorts and legs out in a day like this, when can you? That's what I say.
I had a dilemma.
Did you?
I was thinking of the short shorts with like ginger hairy legs and whatnot.
Right.
I thought, can I go to work in shorts? Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what?
I think it's more old school. I think I wouldn't feel quite right.
No?
No.
No, you're a bit more professional. Am I being unprofessional getting the legs out?
No, it all depends how you feel, how comfortable you are.
I do. Do you know there's a photograph, Perry, of you and me, or you might have seen it. It's obvious it's very, very old when you're at Arsenal, I was at Chelsea. And the shorts...
Obscene.
Oh, my God.
Obscene.
They're like the pants that Kylie Minogue had in Spinning Around.
I don't know why you did the shorts,
yeah.
right? I did it because I was a size 36.
Right.
And you couldn't be seen to be wearing 36 shorts.
Right.
So I'm doing 34s.
Right, okay.
So it was a bit of Vaseline on the inner thighs.
Was there?
Slide into the 34s.
Right. Yes.
And because I have a big...
Derriere?
Derriere, yes. So Beyonce and the Kardashians,
right.
they owe me royalties.
Right, okay. So that's
I
what
had the first big... And that's natural. It's all muscle.
Okay. Oh, no, look, I'm not doubting
There's no collagen there. But when you look at them, though, you just think, how did you play your nose?
Yeah, and it was acceptable back then. It was acceptable with those shorts. However, enough of short talk. How are you, sir? You well?
Oh, good. Yeah, good. So it was exciting tonight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, you know.
I think the penalties
yes,
straight away
yes.
is brilliant. Because it's the jeopardy.
Yeah, and... You're right, because the fans don't. If you can't get past that, certainly in these rounds, obviously when you get to the semis and maybe the final, I get that, I understand it. But when you're in these rounds, if you can't get past one over 90 minutes, go straight to pens. Yeah. The crowd want it.
None of the players want it.
No, none of the players, especially
the managers don't want it.
Well. No,
fans don't want it. So thought the pens and Bromley taking their pens brilliantly, and obviously the goalkeeper Long saving 2.
Indeed.
And how do you think I feel getting the winning penalty?
What do you mean?
I feel.
How do
you think I feel? That's what we say after the game.
Very good.
How do you think I feel? I feel magnificent, thanks.
Well, he did. He got the winning penalty. So if you've been to a game up and down the country, 03717 223344. But the longest running saga, there's always one, isn't there? Every single summer, there's always one transfer that grabs the attention more than any other. And you know what I'm going to say, and I make no apology for saying it. Alexander Isak, from what we know, have been told that he has told Newcastle that he refuses to play for them again. Now that's a line drawn under it. I don't know how there's a way back for him. You know what football's like. There's always a way back somehow, Perry. The door never shuts completely. But I have to say, it feels as though it feels the end of the road for him at Newcastle right here, right now. But what does that mean? Because he's still a Newcastle player, and Liverpool have not stumped up the money they want. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Thing is, it's right move. Because he's obviously moved out, so he's probably used Rightmove, and there are other haulage companies that are available and remove companies. Yeah. The right move for him is obviously he wants to go to Liverpool. But I must say, I know the players have all the power now, and when we played, we had no power. The clubs had every bit of power. You couldn't say, I want to leave, I'm going on strike, because you'd be with the cabbages and all the sheep for about 6-7 months, wouldn't you? So, but I still think that there's a right way to go about it, and he hasn't. And it just leaves a taste of a distinct lack of respect for Newcastle fans, for Eddie Howe, for the players. The players won't care. The players will be laughing. Yeah. Like they'll be having, like texting, well, what's happening? Or you still here? Well, you coming back? You still got your place, your boots, or whatever. They will have a laugh and a joke. And if he comes back, it won't bother them.
No, it won't. I've heard this. People sometimes ask the question, how are the players going to feel on the camp?
Okay.
You're absolutely right. They've been, footballers they know the industry that they're in, that we were in, and it literally is you do the best that you can. Now, you're right, there is a way of going about it. And the fans are the ones, their loyalty never wavers. Their loyalty will be there from the moment they can breathe, the moment they stop breathing, because that's what fans do. It's their club. They're invested in it in a very, very different way. But they're not going to understand that, the Newcastle fans, are they? And I get why. Because it's a kick in the teeth to them.
No, I think they'd understand it, him wanting to go to Liverpool, because it's a step up from Newcastle.
Yep.
We all know about the food chain.
Yeah.
They'd understand that he wants to be, obviously, a team that's got a chance of winning the Champions League and winning the Premier League. Let's be honest, Newcastle haven't. Newcastle, it's now their best season they can ever have now is getting in the Champions League positions, because they know that they're always going to sell their best player. And from the fans' point of view, I think now he has no legacy at Newcastle. They would say if he'd have gone in the right way, they'd have understood it, and I still think he'd have had affection. He'd been seen as a hero. Obviously, scoring a goal, first trophy they've won for 70 years.
Yeah.
Which you put your mark in history.
Yeah.
But I think with the fans, they might be wrong. Newcastle fans are coming in. I think that they will just basically disown him if he leaves. But if he comes back and Newcastle dig their heels in, because we spoke off air, if there's one club that they don't need to sell him for PSR reasons, right? If there's one club that has the money, and when you're used to having loads of money and power, you don't like being told what to do. You don't like being dictated to. So it's the Newcastle owners, whether they dig their heels in and they say, you ain't going. Because now we've got a power struggle.
Yeah, there is a power struggle. And for the best of the football club right now, that's the most important thing, isn't it, Isak? It's what is the best for this football club? What Eddie Howe, and I feel for Eddie because he's found himself in a situation where he's had 2 or 3 really good years for Newcastle, and he's won the first trophy in X amount of generation, and he finds himself in this position, and through no fault of his own, it could really have a massive detrimental impact on their season.
Very much so, because he would be in the top 3 centre forwards in the world at the moment, and he knows that he is, and he knows that his stock's very high. Let's be honest, when he came from Real Sociedad, 65 or 63 million,
it was,
that was seen as a bit of a gamble. He didn't rip it up with Real Sociedad. I think he averaged about a goal every 2.5 games. Exactly, yeah. But he's come to Newcastle. He's adapted to the Premier League. Eddie Howe has helped make him the player that he is. The first season, he had a bad hamstring injury, and he got 10 in 22. Second season, 21 in 30. Last season, 23 in 34, and the winning goal, right? So he's improved dramatically as a player. Yeah. But if Eddie Howe actually says there's a way to conduct yourself, and he's basically saying he sent him home from training, then he went to train at Real Sociedad, then he come back, and Eddie Howe, I said at the time, there's no way in the world that he will be training with the Newcastle players. He'll be told, if you're injured or you train, you come in early before the players are. I'll play and train with the players that want to be here, and then you can come in the afternoon and come and train on your own or get your trip, whatever it is. But he won't be around the players because of negativity. But if they dig their heels in Newcastle and he doesn't sign, there's always a way back. How many players do you know that have been on strike, come back? Carlos Tevez, we mentioned it, at Man City, went on strike. 6 months, didn't play, come back, scored loads of goals, he won the title. You had Diogo Costa at Chelsea. Riyad Mahrez is another one. If Isak doesn't go and he comes back and he scores 3 goals in his first 3 games or 4 goals, then
I think the fans won't care.
No. Well, all football fans are fickle. How would you see it now? Then there's so many different the options. How would you see this panning out?
Say that again, sorry, Piers. Sorry, mate.
How do you see this panning out?
Well, I think there's too much money in it. The fact that we're talking 110, I think if Liverpool want him, I think they're going to have to go a little bit high, 120. I think that's probably going to be enough. Where we find ourselves right now, Newcastle might have to just say, do you know what? Let's get rid of this problem, and it is an issue and it is a problem, for £120 million. Let's move that problem away and we move forward as a football club. I don't see the point in keeping him right now. And Newcastle fans, we hear this often about fans saying, stick him in the reserves and let him rot. Those days are gone. They don't exist anymore.
Because they're multi-millionaires.
Right. And you don't want to have a player that's your best player sitting in the stand devaluing every single game that goes depreciating. That's not ideal either. So I think personally, there'll be, by hook or by crook, this will happen. and I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how much money, but I just think that for Newcastle, you're best off saying, do we want this hanging around over our season? Every interview that Eddie Howe's going to do if the window shuts, what's happening with this sack? Where's this sack? You do not want that dominating your season.
But also, if Newcastle are going to do it, they've got to do it early, because the last thing you want want this going on and on and on to the end of transfer window, and then they don't get centre forward in. But
okay, let's head over. Andy Woodman is speaking to talkSPORT after the League Cup win over Ipswich.
Evening,
Andy. Sorry, buddy. I thought.
That's all right.
Do you know what, matey? I thought you were being. How are you, son? By the way, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I was waiting for a bit more of a drum roll.
Well, there you go. There we go. Andy Woodman, victorious Bromley manager. Welcome to the Sports Bar here on talkSPORT.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Listen, let's talk. You played well, by the way. You took the lead, and once Ipswich got the equaliser, it felt like it was always going to penalties. And once you get the pens, mate, it's can your keeper pull off a couple of saves? He did. Can our guys put one more past than them? And that turned out to be the case. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I thought we was good for it in the 90 minutes with respect to Ipswich. I thought we give a good account of ourselves, made some chances, and like you say, once it goes to penalties, you're kind of a bit relieved, really, because it probably sort of favours the underdog a little bit.
Andy, you must have been delighted with the way that your team were disciplined, because you had to defend for a bit, because Ipswich, you knew were going to have more possession than you, so you must have worked, obviously, during the week about your defensive shape, which I thought you was very disciplined, but also you have to make sure that you're a threat going forward. And I thought you always had that threat on the counter.
Yeah, I mean, look, anyone that watches us, that's pretty much us. We're a counter-attacking team. We don't sort of try to be anything other than that. We're a solid team. We sort of works and gets clean sheets, and that's what we sort of pride ourselves on. At the other end of the pitch, it does help when you've got Michael Cheek in your team and scoring goals, and you're creating chances, and we've got pace and energy to burn in this team, and we're a fit team, and that really sort of shone through in times tonight, and I was really chuffed for the boys to get the rewards.
How big a win is this for Bromley in the history?
Well, yeah, without sounding sort of a bit flashy, but we keep sort of having these moments. I mean, we was a non-league club a couple of years ago, and we keep having these moments. It's been a great ride we're on, and we're all enjoying it. And credit to the chairman and the people that all work here. We're all sort of pulling in the same direction, and hopefully we have a few more of these nights to come. This football club.
So on the pens, have you practiced them? Obviously. Yesterday, and if you was training this morning, and then did you get what we know the shin pad twisters? You know, when you get your 5 and everybody, don't they, look at the shin pads, don't make eye contact with the manager because you might want to take one.
I'm not going to lie, we haven't practiced one pen. I'm not even going to lie. And what's really funny is I chose the penalties once since I've been in this football club, and we was away at Bath and we lost, and so they never let me choose them. So I've had absolutely nothing to do with the penalties at all.
So listen, you used to be a goalkeeper, Andy. Do you have any tips for your keeper? Because he pulled off 2 great penalty saves.
To be fair, he's had a really good pre-season, and he's a really good young, promising goalkeeper. And he's been unlucky not to start the season, and he's kept working hard. And I'm delighted for him. I just said to him, look, this is your time now. Go and make those saves, and be strong and powerful when you go for him. And he did, and he was excellent. He had 2 really big saves there for us.
You mentioned obviously goalkeeper Long and Eiffel getting the win. They have actually etched themselves now into Bromley's history.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a bit of history going on here now the last few years. Every time we win a game, someone tells me it's a bit more history. I'm not going to knock it though. We're happy to be in the next round.
And tell us about this season, because you're absolutely right. It wasn't that long ago that Bromley were non-league, and you're not on our league side. It's been meteoric in some ways. What does the future hold? What does the next 6 weeks, 6 months, and maybe 9 months hold?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've made no secret of it. We want to make the playoffs. We should have made the playoffs last year. I was devastated we didn't make it, and people thought I was crackers. But we was 4 points short, and we really should have. I really felt we let ourselves down. And that's our target this year. I want to get this football club into League One, and it's everything on the outside is being built, and it's on the up. So I really going to keep pushing this group of players as hard as I can.
And everybody knows, for you to progress, you need money, more for your budget. So just let us know what this means getting into the next round, and if you can get a draw with one of the big boys, what it does for you financially. Yeah,
well, listen, it's massive. I mean, last year we was lucky enough in the FA Cup to draw Newcastle away, which was a fantastic draw for the club financially, and it's massive for the for the smaller clubs. So yeah, we'll be praying we can be be pulled out the hat and get a good away draw and hopefully get some money into the football club and keep progressing everything that's going on here.
And before I let you go, the transfer window is still very much open. You mentioned Newcastle. Alexander Isak isn't going to play for Newcastle anymore. I just wonder whether you're interested.
Do you know what? If we get a big enough draw, we might have 30 quid to buy him.
Take him on loan. He's disgruntled. You go, come and enjoy your football down here, son.
Listen, we don't have no bad eggs in our club. We won't. It'd be no good for us.
Can I just ask you, Andy, just quickly, what would you do if a player did that to you? Said, do you know what? I'm not playing for you anymore. I'm not playing for Bromley unless I get my move. How would you feel as a manager of that club?
Yeah, it's really difficult, isn't it? I mean, all joking aside, at this level, you can just say, well, look, go home and we won't pay you. But at that level, I mean, you know, they go home and they jump on their private jet and they're happy days. So I really feel for Newcastle and Eddie and the whole setup there because, you know, it's been so good for them. But look, that's not my problem.
No,
I've got to worry about getting someone in loan for about 30 quid.
Andy, you haven't got any problems tonight, mate. Congratulations. Well done.
Guys.
And good luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate your
Cheers,
support.
buddy. Andy Woodman there, Bromley manager. They knocked Ipswich out on penalties. It was 1-1, and you heard that live on talkSPORT 2. Congratulations to them. Up next, we're going to continue taking your calls on all things Alexander Isak. 03717 223344. Newcastle fans, what do you do with him? And Liverpool fans, do you want a player like that shows if there's money's right and he wants to move on, as we've seen with Trent? Whatever happens in a couple of years' time, or as I think you probably don't care if he scores goals. 03717 223344.
Is that alluding to your short shorts?
They're the shorts. They're the ones we used to wear back in the late 80s, early 90s. This is the Sports Bar here on talkSPORT. Programs. I'm Jason Cundy. Still to come, we'll be discussing the future Palace midfielder Ibrahim Eze after Spurs join the race for his signature to the sun. First, though, we're going to continue taking your calls on all things Alexander Isak after the striker has refused to play, apparently, for Newcastle, even if he doesn't get his move from Liverpool. What does this mean for you Newcastle fans? 03 717 223344. Apparently, he's even moved out of his home. I don't know whether that's because Newcastle fans might be knocking in and saying, "Oi, what are you up to?" or whether that is just another move to try and force his way down to Liverpool. Unless Liverpool's paid 150 million, what on earth happens here? Now, talkSPORT chief football correspondent Alex Crook joined the Breakfast Show this morning, explaining the latest twist in the Isak saga.
Isak has told Newcastle he won't play for them again, even if they don't sanction a move away from Liverpool in this transfer window. Clearly, this is an alarming situation as far as Newcastle and Eddie Howe are concerned, but not a massive surprise when you look at how Isak has conducted himself over the course of the summer. Now, that is as much Eddie Howe's decision, I'm told, as it is Isak himself. Eddie Howe is a manager who puts a lot of stock in loyalty, and I've said it a few times on talkSPORT in the last few weeks and certainly in the last few days, that when you look at Eddie Howe's body language, his demeanour, what he's been saying about the Isak situation, I think he's hurt.
Yeah, hurt, all right, and also worried about what this could do even before a ball is kicked in anger in the Premier League. Let's go to the lines. Let's speak to Michael, who's a Manchester United fan. All right, Michael, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening.
Hello, Michael.
You all right?
Hiya. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I think from a football point of view, I want, we had this situation before, and there's been other players. This is a manufacturer deal. There's no way this player is worth over 100 million quid. There's only one player or two players that I can remember who's worth that sort of money. Ronaldo, Messi. This guy is nowhere near that class.
No, that's irrelevant.
It's the modern climate. He's a centre forward who scores goals. Yeah. They are in.
They've turned down 110. But
so he is worth over 100 million.
But the thing I hate, the fact I feel sorry for Newcastle.
Yeah.
Because they've got the money, they can't spend it. PSR. How is the Premier League meant to be the best league in the world when clubs can't spend their money? They
a Man United fan feeling sorry for Newcastle, a bit patronising it. I feel
sorry for you. No, in generally, though, if we're meant to have the best league, everyone should be able to spend whatever they want. If they got the money, like the Saudis have got the money, they could spend whatever they want. It makes it good for football, doesn't it? You want the best team.
Personally, yes.
Michael, I couldn't agree with you more, honestly, because it's making sure that the top six is even more difficult, virtually impossible, to break into that.
How are Newcastle ever going to challenge for a title consistently if they cannot spend their money? And every time they get in the Champions League, what they are, and they have a player, their star player being touted around by one of the biggest clubs in the world, and he acts like this. I don't know where Newcastle go from here. I don't know how they're ever going to try and challenge.
They've hit the glass ceiling.
But unless they spend the money, unless PSL rules change.
Yes, unless they change. They said that the PSL was brought in, obviously, to stop rogue owners, making clubs go to the wall. The Leeds United situation where they spent money they didn't have. Yeah. There's no other business in the world where you would be stopped spending money on your own business. No. But the reason it's happening now is because it ring fences the teams at the top, and you can't spend like your club did, Chelsea did. You can't spend like Man City.
No, it's changed.
But that made, Michael's right, that made the Premier League more competitive. I'm a Gooner, right? I want Gooner obviously to win the title. But for the Premier League, I want 6 or 7 teams to be able to win the Premier League because of the jeopardy it gives you in the season. And that's not going to happen. And Eddie Howe's frustration will be, which he knows, he has taken Newcastle as far as what they can.
It feels like it, doesn't it? It does feel like it.
They'd have to be in the Champions League 6 or 7 years on the trot to get the money in to then be able to go and spend it. Indeed. So they have to look at the PSR rules. And like feeling sorry for Newcastle.
I know what you mean. But yes, there is a certain amount of, if that was Chelsea or Arsenal, you think, why can't we go and spend that money on? And Villa are very in a similar some kind of position. Let's go back to the lines. Let's go and speak to Scotty, who's a Liverpool fan. All right, Scott.
How you going, guys? You all right?
Hello, Scott.
I'm all right, matey. How are you feeling about the scenario with Isak?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm actually going to side with the players, to be honest, because the clubs are always, I say always, but a lot of the time they're quite happy to move on players without the player wanting to go, right? We're seeing it now of Rasmus Højlund at United. He wants to stay and fight. but United want to sell him, he ain't got a choice, and they'll take a hit on him. We've seen it before with others as well. So for me, it was Andy Carroll when he came to us. He didn't want to leave Newcastle when the whole Torres Carroll thing. He's spoken about it numerous times, Andy Carroll. He had no choice. They wanted the money. So why is it that the players now the one in the wrong? At the end of the day, the clubs will happily get rid of these players. So I don't think it's very fair.
Would you feel the same?
And not to mention, he's going to get 140 million for Newcastle. People might say about Trent and Liverpool fans and what we were saying. He was a local lad and he went on a free. We didn't get any money. Isaac's Swedish and he's about to get his club 140 million. A record.
Did you think that Trent did the right thing?
No, I don't.
Oh, no, you just contradict yourself.
He gaslighted us fans.
No, you've just contradicted yourself because you just said that clubs want to get rid of players. They have no choice.
Yep.
So Liverpool will get rid of players that they didn't want anymore. They're surplus to requirements.
We wanted Trent.
But now you're saying, no, but now you're saying that players can do what they want because clubs do it to them. But you're saying because it's your club,
I'm saying players shouldn't get all the blame. I'm saying they shouldn't get all the blame.
Why did you blame Trent Alexander-Arnold then?
Say that again.
Why did you blame Trent Alexander-Arnold? Because his contract ran out.
Because he gaslighted us fans by not coming out saying. He said to us the season before he left that he was going to go to Madrid and all the rest of it. We would have happily accepted that. Don't lead us on, pretend you're going to sign a contract and all the rest of it, and then leave on a free.
Well, no.
He's been learning Spanish for 2 years.
Yeah, but
he was learning Spanish for 2 years. So don't come out and say he only made a decision over the summer.
Yeah, but you're contradicting yourself. You're saying that players can do what they want because clubs do what they want to them, but you're saying, but not Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm saying they shouldn't get all the blame.
Well, don't blame Trent Alexander-Arnold then.
We're seeing it now with Rasmus Højlund.
Yeah, but he can stay.
Andy Carroll.
No, but Rasmus Højlund can stay. If he says, no, I'm going to stay...
Exactly. He doesn't want to go, but United are trying to get him to go, I think, to AC Milan, right? He's already come out saying he doesn't want to go.
But he can stay and fight for his place because he'll have a 3 or 4 year contract.
Well, we don't know that. You don't know that. We don't know that. It looks like they want rid of him. And as I say, the one to go to all this is Andy Carroll. He's spoken about it 3 or 4 times in the last 10, 15 years or whatever it was. He did not want to leave Newcastle. He just bought a house.
Right.
He did not want to leave Newcastle. He was happy to sign a new contract, but Newcastle wanted the money.
Michael, so
he was forced out. He was forced out.
Take a breath. Isak comes to you, right? Yep. And it's the food chain because Liverpool were further up the food chain. We all know that, right? Which is fair enough. Yep. So when he's at yours and Real Madrid, like Trent Alexander-Arnold's gone, is above the food chain than Liverpool.
Why is Real Madrid going to come in for Isak? He'll be 29 in 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah,
why are they going to come in for a 29-year-old?
Because they're not bothered about selling him.
Isak's peak years is right now, hence why he wants to go to the best team
Real
in
Madrid
England. That's going to win a trophy.
Bothered about sell-ons. They're bothered about 2 or 3 or 4 years, right? So Isak has 2 good seasons for you, right? And you win the title, and he goes, Real Madrid in for me.
Then we win the title, we win the Champions League, and all the rest of it.
I'm going on strike. I don't want to play for Liverpool anymore. You would understand that.
Okay, but you're saying as if I've not seen this before. I've seen it with Mascherano, I've seen it with Coutinho, I've seen it with Sterling, I've seen it with Torres.
So you understand
it? Like you say, it's the food chain. It happens. But what I'm saying is you can't always just blame the player because as we've seen with other players, when they wanted to stay and fight for their place, they've had no choice and their clubs have pushed them on. And we're seeing it currently right now, as I said to you. I can't keep going around in circles on it. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, like you say, I agree with you, Perry. There is a food chain. Okay, and obviously Isak knows he's 26. The next 2-3 years, that's his best peak time. That's his career's best, and we're going to have it perfect. He wants to go to Madrid at 29. Good luck to him, but I don't think they'll come in for him at 29 anyway.
I just wonder whether Isak also feels as though is he being priced out of a move? You know, £110 million. You know, what is a player worth? He's worth whatever a club's prepared to pay, right?
Yeah, but also what we've said is that Newcastle can't spend their money, right, for the PSR rules.
Yep.
But they don't need them. They're one of the few clubs in the world that don't need the money. So they could, this power, they could dig their heels in and say, we're not going to be dictated to.
When does that work, digging heels in to prove a point?
But Isak, if he stays at Newcastle, he's not going to play.
No. I just wonder whether this is a terrible situation Newcastle found themselves in. But I genuinely feel the only way out of it is to move him on.
The thing is, it's a little bit self-inflicted because he was told he was going to have a new contract. He's only on training ground. Quite rightly, he wants $200,000 a week. That's what.
If they just turned down £110 million, why haven't they given him a contract that replicates that or reflects that in his wages?
Yeah, because they had a sporting director, was it Paul Mitchell, that went in and went, no, he's got 4 years left.
Right.
We don't have to give you that.
Right.
So then that's kept in his head.
Yeah.
But I still think, I disagree with Michael completely. There's still a way that you can conduct yourself.
No, of course, but I still think, but Michael does have a point about, you can control your own destiny. If a club wants you out, they can ostracise you.
Right, yeah, but he turned against Trent Alexander-Arnold.
No, of course, that's where you're right. He's a hypocrite. That's where he is a hypocrite.
Exactly.
I agree with that. Let's go and speak to James, who was a Newcastle fan. All right, Jimbo. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Hello,
First time
James.
calling straight through.
Oh, excellent stuff. Maybe it's your lucky day.
Well, all I wanted to say was around the Isak situation. It's a terrible one for Newcastle. But I do think at this point, I agree with what you said. We need to start thinking about conceding. I mean, at this point, it's making us look equally as embarrassing as the situation itself. We had a good offer on the table. We could have taken it. We could have used it wisely. Isak has clearly made his bed very clear. I think Newcastle are stuck between a rock and a hard place in this situation, because I get they're trying to make a point of not being the club that bends over for the players' requests by throwing the toys out of the pram a bit. But at the same time, we are doing it in a way that's not conducting ourselves in a good light at all, if I'm being honest.
Do you think, let me ask you this then, James, because I think that offer's on the table, right? Then Liverpool apparently have said, look, we're not going to make an improved offer. Newcastle in that time were probably trying to say, right, if we can get someone in, we can negotiate with Liverpool. But the problem you've had, you've not been in that position where someone has filled potentially the boots that Isak's going to leave. And
I agree, and I think that's double-fold in what I'm saying, which is we clearly have got some internal issues, and I don't think that as many callers as call in, as many times we speak about it, I don't think we know half the truth of what's going on inside Newcastle at the moment. I think there's bigger issues at board level where we are not in a position to have talks with players that want bright futures, and clearly the conversations aren't painting a good picture, aren't making people want to join us. I'm a level-headed Newcastle fan. I mean, I haven't got the accent to back it up, but look, I appreciate the fact that we've come away from being a regular relegation battle team. I'm happy with where we are. I don't think we're going to be pushing for Premier League titles anytime soon. I don't think we're going to be pushing for Champions League football trophies anytime soon. But to see us where we are now, I'm really proud. And I think fans should remember where we've come from.
James, did the thing not worry you, though, with your manager, Eddie Howe, that his frustration is, I've taken Newcastle as far as I can take them? Because he knows that, as you said there, you can't attract the players. And the problem you have now as well with Isak is you need to get a centre-forward in before he goes. If you're going to do it, you've got to do it very quickly. But then if you get a centre-forward in before he's going to be sold, Liverpool then sit there and go, actually, you've got to sell him. We don't need to increase that £110 million offer. So it's a very, very difficult situation that the club's in.
It is. It is a very difficult situation, but if we're not careful, I think the situation is only going to ostracise the price further. And in fact, we've got a situation where if we end up stuck with him for a year in this situation, I don't see his value going up.
No, and also, I tell you what, the best for everyone, and this is going to be hard for Newcastle fans to take, is to move him on. And you're right.
I wholeheartely agree.
I think that, and there has to be a moment where everyone sits around a table and says, right, let's resolve this. Because can you imagine that, when that window shuts, if Alexander Isak is a Newcastle player, that 6 months going into January is going to be hell for Newcastle. It's going to be murder for Eddie Howe. Because actually, you think about it, the transfer window opens on the 1st of Jan. Around about 6-7 weeks' time, the conversation starts again because we start creeping into November. And all of a sudden, the window's open in 2 months. And that, I just feel, if you can cut the umbilical cord now, separate now, do the best for both. It'd be the best for Newcastle, it's the best for Isak, and the best for Liverpool. And I think everyone just needs to bang their heads together.
But also, though, if Newcastle dig their heels in because the owners don't need the money and they don't want to be told what to do, right? If Isak...
They bite the nose off to spite.
No, but if Isak comes back...
What's the good of that, though? Where's Isak going to get them, Perry?
If Isak comes back... And as I said before, if he scores 3 goals, first 3 games, 4 goals, Newcastle fans won't be happy at first. Then they'll be okay. And Eddie Howe will think, I'll deal with that again in January.
I just think it'd be a cloud I don't know. I don't know what that.
Yeah.
I don't know how we see the best of Isak, and it won't take that long for Newcastle fans. What if he doesn't score? What if 3 games in he ain't scored?
Well, then he'll get the stick that he deserves.
Yeah, fine. But then how does anyone win from Newcastle perspective?
Yeah, but Isak if he comes back, right, and he doesn't go, he's not going to sulk and say I ain't playing, because he needs to keep his stock high. So he still needs to keep scoring goals.
I'm not saying he doesn't, but I just feel as though that I don't know. I just think now is the time to do it. The window, what have we done? 19 days left? Come on, 19 days, less than 2 weeks, less than 3 weeks now. Get this deal done somehow.
You sounded like Jimmy James and the Vagabonds there. Now is the time
feels
to
like
get things right.
Get it done. Get it moving on. What do you think, Newcastle fans and Liverpool fans? 03717223344. You are listening to the Sports Bar here. We're talkSPORT Bet. Download the new talkSPORT betting app today. 18 plus to be gambleaware.org.
to set things right.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
That's the voice of Perry Groves. I'm Jason Cundy. You are listening to the Sportsway on talkSPORT. Still to come, we'll be discussing the future. Crystal Palace midfielder Ibrahimovic Eze. Spurs are interested and Arsenal interested. Surely there's only one place to go. That's Arsenal, isn't it? 03717223344. We're going to continue taking your calls on Alexander Isak and the decision that he has made. And as a footballer, you've got to take care of your own business sometimes. Sometimes you have to force a move. You've got to do what you can. I was just chatting to Perry in the break, and Perry was saying he doesn't want people to think he's a... I can't say what Perry said.
I wouldn't...
Right? He would think ill of you.
Yes.
But also, we don't know the whole scenario, the whole story of what the conversation between Isak and the previous owner, or the previous regime and this regime. And, you know, unless you're privy to everything, all we can do is come up with an opinion based on what we know. We probably don't know all of it, as the previous caller made. Now, former Aston Villa striker Gabriel Boulahor joined the breakfast show this morning, had his say on the Isak situation.
Who does he think he is, by the way?
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
listen, I can have banter with Newcastle,
Correct.
but like, who do you think you are, mate?
Correct, mate.
Who do you think you are?
Has that been released? That's crooky.
Yeah, it's been confirmed. Like,
Wow.
Who do you think you are?
That's exactly what I am.
Disgusting. What that club's done for you.
And by the way, have a think about
Jesus.
this. Have a think about this. If you're Liverpool, or you're Liverpool fans, is that the kind of person you want to be signing?
Real Madrid won him in 2 years when he's 27. He'll do the same to you.
Of course you will.
It's basically what we just said. That's the first time I've heard that. But you know what? I don't think Liverpool fans will care. Honestly, I don't. If he comes in and scores goals, and I mean, footballers, some have got better reputation than others. If this comes at Liverpool and wins the Premier League and the Champions League, I ain't going to care.
I know Koisty and Abby saying, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Right? But he knows he's in the top 3 centre forwards in the world. Centre forwards are at a premium.
Yep.
He's probably got a little bit of the ump if it's to be reported that he was offered a contract. Sorry, he was told he was going to get a new contract, and then they reneged on it, and he's only on 120 grand a week. And footballers talk, don't they? Yeah. And he knows that he's worth his 220, 230 grand a week, right? But I still think that you should show more respect, because I know Gabby said there that Newcastle made him who he is, but he's actually made himself the level that he's at because he's taken on the information that he's got from Eddie Howe, how to be a better player. All Newcastle fans will tell you that as a centre forward, his work ethic was exemplary. Yep. He would press when he would track back, he would go wide, he'd go left.
Yeah,
on the pitch, none at all. Yep. But I wouldn't want to be completely tainted by the club that I'd been at. Do you know what I mean? Because if it had left Newcastle in the right way and said, look, I want to go, and they let him go, he'd still have a legacy at Newcastle. Do you think he has nothing. He doesn't care because in his head he'll probably think, I'm never going to go back to Newcastle again. No. I will go, obviously, when I play against them. They'll boo me. I'll be the pantomime villain.
So now he's forcing his way out the only way that he can. I ain't going to play for you. Yeah, I mean, William Gallas, I remember William Gallas, pretty sure he said to Jose Mourinho, if you play me, I'll score an own goal. So it's
taking it to
another level.
That's allegedly, by the way.
Allegedly, indeed. Let's go and back the lines. Let's go and speak to Paul's a Man City fan. All right, Paul?
Good evening, fellas.
Good evening.
Hello, Paul.
Thanks for the call, bud. What do you want to say?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good. What do you want to say about Isak?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, there's I don't want to bore you to death tonight, but there's 3 sports involved. Starting off with Isak. Allegedly, he has sold his house in Newcastle, started whining about, said, I want out, and this, that, and the other. Well, that's the case. He's out, so shut the dummy at him. The guy's obviously got an issue with Newcastle. He wants out. He's training on his own. Just get rid of it. Just get rid of him. Just get what you can for him.
But the thing is, the problem they have now is, because there'd have been talks between Isak's people and Liverpool, right? And he hasn't put a transfer request in because you lose.
He should do now.
Yeah, but you lose your side.
I know, but he should just put a transfer.
That's the next step, isn't it?
He's well within his rights to do that.
Oh, anybody
wanting to leave a football club, that is not a crime.
No,
and it's not illegal.
But it's still a way to do it. Yep. But the problem they have now is because he's caused all these problems. Liverpool now know that they don't have to go above at the minute.
Yeah, it feels like
is 110 million.
Yeah,
that's it. They don't have to go above that.
Did they want 150 million?
That was what. Yeah, was reported 150.
No, but they're not going to pay 150 million now, are they?
Probably not.
They paid 110 for Wirtz from Leverkusen.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go 150 million. But
you know, on the prices, who do you think's worth more money, Isak or Wirtz?
Isak.
Absolutely. So they've paid. So basically, if you paid 110 for him. Then
Isak doesn't
is
Premier League.
120, 105, and he's exactly.
Thanks for the call. Go on in, Paul.
What's Haaland worth?
Yeah, I know, but that's slightly different, wasn't it? Because he was, he had a buyout clause.
Well, what's he worth now?
Oh well, I mean, he's around that price, isn't he? You're talking 150, similar, 130. Yeah.
But the thing is, the difference is because Man City weren't shackled by the PSR rules, they've give Haaland straight away. He's on probably 450 grand a week. So they keep him happy and they know they've got him for another 2 years.
There were rumours about Real Madrid.
But Newcastle can't afford to do that.
Paul, thanks very much for the call. We're going to continue taking calls on Isak straight after the break. I just want to have a quick chat with Perry about Ibarich Eze. Rumour today that Spurs have entered the race. Your club, Arsenal, have been interested in. Listen to Drive earlier saying which is the best move for him, Arsenal or Spurs.
It's not a conversation.
I totally agree with you, but it was.
Oh, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
But
no, it's not a conversation.
It is and it isn't.
It's only Arsenal.
Yes.
Spurs don't even they can't even touch the sides.
No.
There's no way you can think about him going to Spurs. I don't see that.
The only way he'll go to Spurs is if Arsenal don't come in for him. But I think with Arsenal, we have to get rid of players first because the amount of money we spend, some players. So again, you don't know how the conversation's going because every player gets tapped up.
Yep.
They're people to clubs people. And he might have been told, just sit tight a little bit. We've got to get players out before we get you in. If there's a choice, it will be us because obviously we've got chances of winning the Premier League, chances of winning the Champions League. Spurs haven't. And also, I'm talking about wages. It's been well documented that Spurs don't pay.
But Goldstein was making the point on Drive today, saying that Eze will have more game time at Spurs than he will at Arsenal. That was his argument was based around that, saying that he felt that would be a better move in a World Cup year, that he had more minutes.
No, because if you really rate yourself,
I agree.
You go, no, I'm going to go and test myself at the best players I can, because he knows he can play left side, he can play as a 10, he can play right side. So he would be thinking, I'm good enough to get in that team. And as an Arsenal fan, I think he takes you to just a different level, because when teams sit deep, he gives you that bit of balance, that glide, that imagination, do you know what I mean? That sort of flair that we've been missing.
Keep the calls coming, gang. I'd love to know what Palace fans think about this. As also, he's another name that's been linked with a move away in the last 24 hours. And Liverpool back sniffing around again. 35 million, I believe. 03717223344. This is the Sports Bar on talkSPORT. talkSPORT Bet. Download the new talkSPORT betting app today. 18 plus. Be gamble aware to talk.
More green jackets have been lost at the 12th than at the Augusta City dry cleaners. Rory McIlroy knows this better than most. But what is Amen Corner and why is it so iconic? The famous sequence has always been there since the Masters began in 1934. It didn't get its name until '58 though, when American sports writer Herbert Warren Wind, on the left, wrote, "At the farthest reach of the Augusta National Course, down in the Amen Corner." He drew inspiration from the 1933 jazz song Shouting in That Amen Corner by the Dorsey Brothers. The reason behind its difficulty is all in the sand and the water. Tournament officials don't even bother to count the balls lost in there each year, such is the sheer number. The 11th, named White Dogwood, is a downhill 520-yard par 4 with a pond to the left of the green and a bunker to the right. Both cause a lot of trouble each year. The 12th, Golden Bell, is perhaps the most famous hole in the world, with danger everywhere. Many aim for the flag, but look, get it even slightly wrong and you're in the azaleas at the back, or the bunkers at the front, or even worse, Rays Creek. Or you can play it safe and aim for the open green on the left. You chicken. Tiger Woods once said, if you make 4 bogeys from Thursday to Sunday, you're doing well. And the highest ever score on that hole? 13. It's a par 3. Tom Weiskopf in 1980 was the sorry soul. Often the iconic Ben Hogan Bridge is the only thing players enjoy about Golden Bell. Even if you escape there unscathed though, you met with Azalea, the dogleg par 5 13th. It tempts players to go for the green in 2, but cut over those trees on the left at your peril. Every year, it seems, Amen Corner destroys someone's dreams. Rory McIlroy dropped 3 shots through here as his round unravelled in 2011. In 2016, a year after navigating Amen Corner expertly, Jordan Spieth shot a quadruple bogey on the 12th to throw away his green jacket. I mean, it sounds like my game, to be honest. So who'll be the next to be brought to their knees, praying for mercy after Amen Corner?
Headsets that we've got here, so
hey,
I have to go to the toilet, right? So the new headsets you go, they're very different from the ones that we used to use. So we don't wear cans.
Pods.
We're ear pod things that just go in here. And I couldn't find the lead that goes into.
Have a panic up.
Well, not really. I mean, the music was playing. I mean, I was, can't do the show without me, can they? I suppose you could. But Perry Groves has Dr. Spook's anyway, welcome. Thank you very much. Just these, problems you have when you're broadcasting for a brand new studio. Perry, what do you think of it, by the way?
Studio
doesn't look great.
Yeah, it does. It's makes people a bit like a newsreader.
Yes, well, we are. Yes, it's a proper it's a TV.
But we used to, before being able to wear what you like.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you're like a newsreader because they can wear shorts underneath the desk. Yes, you never know what they got on with a suit and tie.
I've had a shave today as well, so you've got to make sure it goes out on social media.
Yeah, so it's more visual now than actually just being in a little room.
Yes.
Talking.
If you want to know what it looks like, go to the talkSPORT YouTube channel and be able to see exactly what we are talking about. But we're going to continue taking your calls on Alexander Isak and also Ibrahim Eze. I'd love to know what Crystal Palace fans feel about it. It's surprising that this hasn't happened before. But it would appear that his future lies elsewhere in North London somewhere. Don't know whether it's the red side or the white side. 03717 223344. Let's go and speak to Andy, who is a Newcastle United fan. Andy, good evening, and thanks for phoning.
How you doing, fellas?
Hello, Andy.
Very well, bud. What do you want to say?
Let me tell you a couple of things first.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, everybody's saying, how Isak's behaviour's not great. I wouldn't be delighted if we signed this up because he's done a similar thing. But my main point is, right, Have we heard any audio from Alexander Isak himself?
No.
And if not, we know why, don't we? And just let me say my second thing as well. If the window closes and Isak hasn't left, you know what he's going to do? Because he's got a World Cup to play for. He's going to say, Newcastle fans, listen to me. This wasn't me. This was my agent telling me what to do. He made promises and he's failed on those promises. And now I love Newcastle United again.
Yeah, but the thing is, your agent telling you what to do and you actually doing it are two different things, because the agent works for you. This is the problem that a lot of players have these days, is that they don't actually think for themselves. But
I would agree with that if Isak wasn't already on a 3-year contract.
Yeah, but they reportedly offered him a wage rise, which he should have got, because he knows that he's worth 250 grand a week and he's only on 120. So the reports are that they reneged that, so that gave him a bit of the ump. So in his head, he probably thought,
that was Paul Mitchell's fault, not Alexander Isak. Now, Amanda Staveley, I'll tell you the biggest problem Newcastle United have at the moment is recruitment. Amanda Staveley, right, and Daniel Ashworth, when they were there, we signed the likes of Tonali, we signed the likes of Gamores, we signed the likes of
Isak.
You know, players like that. Yeah, Isak. Now, since they've gone, apart from Lewis Hall, right, and Alanga now, who have we actually paid for? Who have we actually... We've signed this fella from Inter Milan now, AC Milan now, this week. But apart from them, in a 3-year period, after those guys have left and Paul Mitchell was in charge, who have we actually paid for? Lloyd Kelly was on a free. We've got a guy called, is it Antonio Cadera? He's come on a free, right? We haven't paid for him. There's a couple of guys, I think, from Tbilisi who we've signed, who's on a free.
So go on. What's the point? What's the point you're trying to make? Are you trying to say that the club's ambitions haven't matched Isak's, and that's one of the reasons he wants to leave?
Partly, but I think because the Saudis haven't, I don't know whether they haven't bothered, but they haven't attempted to quickly get a recruitment team in that can offer the project that we want to players. I mean, you look, right? How long has it taken for James Trafford to try and come to Newcastle United? That was about 18 months, wasn't it? Right? And he ended up going to Man City because Man City had a buyout clause. They were watching. Newcastle offer 30 million. Yeah, all right, we'll match that because we've got a buyout clause. Mark Gahey, that was the whole summer and the whole whatever it was last year. We offered 65 million, right?
Yes, you did.
He's going for 40 million now, right? Yeah. So that is all down to Paul Mitchell's lack of foresight and also the lack of a recruitment team who could, make promises to people who would then come to the club and make Newcastle United where they should be now, and that's why we're failing now.
And do you think on that scale, what you're talking about, because the Saudis, with the amount of money that they have, are used to getting their own way in everything, do you think they might have lost a bit of interest in Newcastle?
Well, I think they're getting everything in boxing, aren't they? They're getting everything in golf. There's no competition there. There's competition in the Premier League, and I'll tell you what. I'll ask you a very interesting question here, which I'm not sure anyone would come, with a decent answer. If people says, right, all 20 Premier League teams are going to say, damn the PSR. We are all going to break the rules and do that. So if that's the case, who does the Premier League penalise? If all 20 clubs say, we are going to spend what we've got, right? We are going to spend what we've got.
Andy, but they're not.
They cannot penalise all 20 clubs.
No, but Andy, they're not going to do it.
Here comes the laughing stock.
Andy, they're not going to do it because the clubs that can spend the money, the Manchester Uniteds, the Arsenals, the Liverpools,
they won't break.
They won't. They think no, we want PSR because it safeguards them.
It does.
It gives them more chance of being dominant.
But you know where I'm coming from, don't you?
No, it does. But that's
it's never going to happen.
Perry's right.
Perry's right. It's not going to happen.
Because at the top, because I think they have to have it's the full.
Why would Liverpool break PSR? Why would they want to do that to help Newcastle?
They wouldn't do it to help Newcastle. They do it to help themselves.
But they don't need.
No, they don't need to.
That's
it's ring fenced at the top.
Newcastle United, with the money they've got, they don't need to. They don't need to.
Don't need to what?
You can't spend the money.
You
can't spend the money that you have. That's the point. So
that is because of the rules.
Yes,
but if the Saudis pushed the button and said, we don't care about the rules.
Maybe they,
whatever deductions we get,
right?
We've got the money to counteract that.
Right. Well, I mean,
but then you get points deductions. Then you're not going to win the Premier League, are you?
And that's you need to be very careful with that because it's all well and good if all 20 clubs got together, but that's not going to happen. Perry's right. Why would Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, City? Look at Manchester United, right? Look what they've just gone out and done. Newcastle can't do that. You don't have the deep pockets like Manchester United do.
No, we can't at the moment. No.
Well, I feel for you because I'm with you. I agree. PSR is a joke. It's not fit for purpose, and that the clubs like Newcastle and Aston Villa, by the way, they don't get mentioned.
Yeah,
they're a club that can go and spend money.
I agree with Aston Villa. Yeah. I agree with Aston Villa. I mean, I think they're in a position that their manager has taken them a long way. They're almost, well, you could probably even say they are where we are.
Yeah, very similar.
They are being restricted, and I don't think any club should be restricted from being capable
of you have the money,
reaching the tower.
You should be allowed to spend it. 100%.
I agree with that. Let's go and speak to Paul, who's a Southampton fan. Good evening, Paul.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, guys. You all right?
Yeah, very well, P-Dog.
The old Ginger Widder's doing well at the minute for you, Paul, isn't he?
Oh, do you know what? First game, mate, I was on the edge of my seat, mate. I've never watched such a nerve-wracking game in my life.
Was you Will still out?
Newcastle.
Will still out.
I think these Premier League players that get paid over $100,000 a week need to be taught a lesson, mate. Sit him on the bench, don't let him play. Same as Basuma, mate. If you're not happy with the contract you signed, you shouldn't have signed it. End of.
Yeah, but the only thing is, Paul, you're talking about at the top level. These players are multi.
Newcastle want to be at the top level, bro. Don't they? It's only
so what would you do?
Yes,
so Paul, let me ask you this, right? You're in charge of Newcastle. How would you treat Isak? What would your decisions be? Say again?
I'd sit him on the bench all season.
Right, and how's that going to help?
And you still got to pay his wages.
Well, yeah, and Newcastle don't worry about £150,000 a week, do they?
But what are you proving? What battle are you trying to fight here? What battle are you going to... No one wins. You're not going to win.
So you have one of the best centre-forwards in the world.
You've got to start proving that these players are not bigger than the clubs themselves, mate.
Paul, right.
You're always going to be spending more and more money every year. Yeah, look at the transfers this year, mate. Out of the players that are going for the money they are, ain't worth it, mate.
No, but they are, because that's what someone's prepared to pay for it. No, you're worth what someone's prepared to pay for you.
Look at Grealish, mate. What a ruined career he's had. As much as I don't like the bloke personally,
why was he done against you?
Do you know him?
Is he a noisy neighbour or something?
No, to me, a ruined career. I don't think it's quite a ruined career. The boy hasn't done bad.
He won the treble at Manchester City.
Yeah,
he did, mate. But he didn't. It's a team game, isn't it? But he ain't shone like the rest of them, mate, is he? He's not going to be remembered like the rest of them.
I'm not sure that's true.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I don't.
What, Man City?
Aguero and Silva and...
No, I don't think... I think you're right. I don't think he's in that level. But for him going to Man City and winning the treble and being an important part in that season, and he did improve, and we saw a bit of the old Jack Grealish. He did all right. The last 2 seasons... He's fallen out of favour with Pep Guardiola. He hasn't looked the Jack Grealish, as where he's playing like a free spirit. Now he's got a chance to go to Everton and be the main man like he was at Aston Villa.
Yeah, but listen, bruv, why didn't he go back to Villa? He's a legend there. Why didn't Villa take him?
Yeah, but Unai Emery might not have wanted him. Yeah. He might not have thought that Jack Grealish fits the way that he wants to play.
Yeah.
I
just think that the more we go on with these player wages and the more we go on with the player demands, look at this season, mate. What you got? 3 players at the moment, all not playing for their clubs.
Yeah, but it's because the transfer window is.
Even Southampton's got Diblin on the bench in the reserves playing separate, mate.
Yeah, well, he's no good there. He's best off. Well, he'll move.
He's too good for Southampton.
Yeah, he's too good.
That's why.
That's the truth. Thanks for the call. We got some breaking news here at talkSPORT. talkSPORT understands that Newcastle United are readying a move for Aston Villa midfielder Jacob Ramsey. We just spoke there about PSR. Clearly, that's not an issue for the moment. Villa reportedly open to selling him to satisfy PSR for them. We're going to continue taking calls. Isak and Ibrich Eze 03717 223344. You are listening to Sports Bar here on talkSPORT. talkSPORT. The Sports Bar. He's Groves. I'm Cundy. Still to come, we'll be joined by Ben Jacobs to run through the latest transfer tittle-tattle. In a second, we'll be going back to the lines, talking about Alexander Isak. But Simon Jordan was back alongside Jim White earlier today, so that Newcastle should take a leaf out of the Forest owner, Marinakis.
I would have said to Liverpool, and I would imagine there has to be had some conversation, you will pay this price or you will go away. It's really simple. You're not going to agitate. You can do as much as you want, and you can do it in a fashion that you believe is befitting of a big football club. But you're not going to get him for less than this. And you, son, are not going for less than that. So if they don't meet that expectation, you will do as you're told. In the same way that Marinakis filled the void Whatever you may think about the idea, or it's very simple, Simon, to say what you would and wouldn't do because you did it 20 years ago. Well, it's just been done by Marinakis.
What, Morgan Gibbs-White?
Because he made clear in the player's mind and the player's representation and the idea that people were being inappropriate in their conduct. I will set you guys on fire unless you play properly with me and my football club.
Simon Jordan speaking earlier on the Jim White show.
Simon having a laugh. What did he do with Morgan Gibbs-White?
Give him the contract.
Probably doubled his money.
Yeah, but gave him the contract.
He didn't tell him, oh, you'll do this, you'll do that, I'll dictate to you. Yeah. He knew that Spurs could only pay him probably 100, 120 grand a week. He probably went to him and went, you're my main player. Forget all this. I'm going to give you more than what you would have got at Spurs. And he went, all right.
The problem that with Isak now is as well, he's going to the best club in the country, one of the biggest clubs in the world. That's very different from going from Forest to Spurs. And also the money. Newcastle can't compete on the same level of money that Liverpool.
As you said there, Forest at the moment are above Spurs in the food chain. I'm not saying a bigger club, but they're above them. Obviously, their Premier League status.
Afford to do that with one player.
Exactly.
So best player.
So he could have just said to him, I'm going to give you a longer-term contract. There's probably a release clause in there as well.
Yeah, probably.
But don't tell anybody. It's a secret.
That can't come out,
but
can it?
Simon telling him that they put him in a place, it was like, don't be silly, Simon. He just doubled his money.
He had a lot of power there, Gibbs White. A lot of power. And the club knew it. They sat down at the table. Let's sort this out. And let's do a new deal. They can't do that, Isak. There's no way that can happen. That scenario cannot happen.
Oh, because he wants to go a lot further up the food chain.
And also financially. Let's go and speak to Carl, who's a Wolves fan. All right, Carl.
How you doing?
How you doing? Where are you driving to at the moment, Carl? You're one of the truckers, aren't you?
Yeah. Normal, Bristol and Exeter. Same old.
Same old. Well, listen, appreciate the call, bud. What do you want to say?
Teams like Newcastle have got no chance of doing what they want in what is a corrupt league. Man City situation has been going on for years. It could have been sorted out ages ago. Forget the 100 and whatever it charges. You find them guilty of 3 of the charges and they're found guilty and it's sorted instead of
embarrassing.
Then you've got the Chelsea situation. They keep on breaking financial fair play. UEFA have charged them twice, fined them twice in the last 3 years. Todd Bowley has admitted that when Abramovich was running the show, it was a corrupt to themselves, and then jokingly claim that their women's team is worth 190 million and then selling that to themselves. So how do teams like Wolves, Bournemouth, Newcastle have any chance of winning the Premier League when it is run in such a big, corrupt way?
But there's nothing corrupt. There's nothing corrupt.
Carl, Chelsea were just very, very clever.
Yeah, and this is what
they didn't break any rules.
This is what PSR does. You have to come up with ingenious ways of balancing the books somehow. And this is Chelsea were in a situation where they thought, how can we get round this? And it's clever accountancy. You know, Aston Villa have done the same thing. They've sold their women's team, I believe, or if they haven't, they're about to. This is the problem. This is why it's such a joke that the clubs have to come up with ways around it. No one wants it.
Chelsea have broken the rules because they've been fined twice by UEFA.
Yeah, that was previously. But you know, in terms of what you're saying, there's nothing corrupt about what Chelsea have done.
Yeah, the Premier League said that they would look into what Chelsea have done.
They did,
and they haven't. They've done nothing.
Yes, they did. They looked into it. It's been clear.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's the thing, Carl. Right? You might look like the way they've done it. But when you've got brilliant accountants and you've got brilliant lawyers, they find ways how you can bend the rules within the rules, and it's exactly any business would do the same thing. They've just been very clever. It's not the league isn't corrupt.
Yes, it is. How come the Man City thing is still?
Yeah, but we don't know at the moment what the outcome's going to be. I agree with you that it's taken far too long.
Yes, and even the City fans would want this sorted out. You're absolutely right, Carl. Going into a new season, when they were charged, and I seem to remember it was around about a year's time, we were led to believe in the early of 2025, going into spring, that we will have a resolution to this. Nothing's happened, and that hasn't helped anyone. And I don't know where we go from here.
Do you know why?
I don't know what happens going into next season.
I think Man City can afford to have better lawyers. No matter what a justice system you're in, the best lawyers that you can get give you a chance of getting around rules, get away with it. And the thing is, Carl, with Man City, right? The 150 charge, whoever it is, 15. Even if they, I think it's 130 now, and it's gone up, But even if they're found guilty, right? Even if they are, and the allegations against them are proven on some of them, I don't think there's any way that they're going to be relegated. I don't think there's any way that the Premier League would want Man City's money going out of the Premier League. No. So I think you'll find if they are found guilty... Why have they
gone this far now then? Because they clearly felt they had a case to win. Otherwise they wouldn't have gone after them.
It took them a year to realise that they had a case. And now it's taken a year.
But then if what you've just said is true, right? Let's say for the sake of this conversation is, what's the point of taking it as far as you can? Because the punishment, what? How are they going to punish them then?
Yeah, but there'll be legal ramifications because they'll know. Their lawyers will be telling them that obviously there'll be appeals. They'll go to like court of arbitration, sport, whatever. Yeah. But as I said before, I've said it all along. I think they'll get a big fine, which they can pay. And if they get a points deduction, I think they'll give them a 25-point deduction because that becomes a story because they're at the bottom of the league. Can they get them out of relegation? Right. But as a business, as a module, the Premier League, there's no way they're going to want them out of the Premier League and they're not having their money in the Premier League.
Probably right. Let's go and speak to Danny Boy, as a Chelsea fan. All right, Dan?
Yeah, mate. How you doing?
Hi, Danny.
All right, Danny Boy. What do you want to say?
Good.
Chelsea cheats, Dan.
Up the Chelsea.
Cheats.
That's all I'm hearing. Yeah, none of that. More about Newcastle. So I live in Newcastle, although I'm a Chelsea fan. I've lived here for a few years now. And literally, Isak's house has been up for lease before he went to Spain. I drove past it the other day. I live 5 minutes away. Right. So, that's a story all of itself. But, what they've got to do, Newcastle, is just sell them. If you've invested your money into something and it's at its peak, just sell it, move it on. Get your money out, and that's it. And it shows by keeping him on a ball and chain in the training ground, training on his own. It makes him look bigger than your club because you're desperate. You've got no striker at the minute. No one wants to play for your club. No one wants to come and live in the northeast where it's rainy and cold, aside from me.
Well, you do.
So,
you ever thought about being a PR for Newcastle? Mind you, the Vermont Hotel is fantastic. And
I'm here because of the ball and chain, mate. but yeah, literally, though, it is the fact that you just got to sell him. Take your money's worth. It's a bit like Chelsea with Cole Palmer. Let's say, I don't know, Man United came in. They wanted him for 250 mil. Yeah, it would hurt us. Yeah, we probably wouldn't have a chance of winning the league. But we've won trophies before him, and we've won trophies after. So we're going to carry on winning no matter what. Trophies. Whereas Newcastle, they're scared. They see that they have got that small club mentality, but they don't admit it. They feel like they had a bus parade for the Carabao. What team does that? What I'm trying to say is they think
I'll tell you what, you're being a little bit snobby. You're saying...
What I mean, though, is that they see it as that Carabao, right?
It was huge.
It's going to be a trophy. It is huge for them. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's huge for them. And it's great that they've won it. They've beat Liverpool as well, even though that's where Isak wants to go. But it tells me that it's a trophy that's going to be one of their last in a very long time. That's why they celebrated.
Well, they've still got chances. I think they could be a cup team, with the League Cup and the FA Cup.
On their day, Newcastle proven they can take anyone on.
But the only thing, like what Daniel was saying there, just sell him, get rid of him. As I said before, if there's one club, because of the owners, because they're so rich.
I don't know whether that's true.
They could dig their heels in.
I don't see how anyone wins. I think everyone just loses.
Yeah, but that must have before, because they're used to spending so much money and being the dominant force, as we said, with golf, with boxing, with darts is going there now as well, right? Yeah. They might think we can't take Newcastle. They might have lost a little bit of interest.
That's been mooted. That's been mooted in the past.
And even if they've lost a bit of interest, then they have nothing to lose by going, nah, we're going to dig our heels in and we're going to make you stay. That's the only club I think that could do it.
I'm not convinced about that.
So go on then. What do you think is going to happen? You think?
Well, I think
Isak will be gone
because it's going to be to the detriment of the club. I think keeping him around, as I said, I think there'll be a cloud over the training ground, a cloud over Eddie Howe.
Yeah, but players don't care.
No, but I think that Eddie Howe, every time he doesn't play, the press conference, it's going to be about Isak. If it doesn't move now between now and the January transfer window, and do you know what will happen? He'll probably go on loan or something will happen in January. Get it done now. Get it done. That's my advice to them.
So,
it's an uncomfortable situation for everyone.
So do you think then
the right thing to do is to make sure that Newcastle has to move on without this over the top of them?
Yeah, but then, as I said about the owners, they'll be seen to have actually been bullied by an individual forcing his way out.
But it's happened in the past, isn't it?
No.
I mean, Raheem Sterling did the same with Liverpool. Raheem Sterling, his agent, of course, forced the move, and that row, there's a standoff between Brendan and Raheem. In the end, he went to Manchester City, £50 million. It's the best thing to do. It's my take on it. Anyway, next up, we'll be talking about Ben Jacobs, runs us through all the latest transfer tittle-tattle. This is the Sports Bar here on talkSPORT with talkSPORT Bet. Download the new talkSPORT betting app today, 18 plus, begambleaware.org. This is record-breaking sports by here on talkSPORT. Jason Cundy alongside Perry Grove. Still to come, we've got the midnight train just after midnight. No sport, no politics, no religion, nothing too serious. Other than that, anything goes within reason. Pick up the phone and have a little bit of fun with myself and Perry. First, though, it's now time to take a look at the latest transfer tale with talkSPORT Bet.
Bring it on with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com to see all our latest sign-up offers. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
And to got us through all of that is one and only Ben Jacobs joins us. Benny boy, good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening. How
Hello,
are
Ben.
you?
Very well indeed, Ben. Now, I don't know if you heard any of the show, but guess what we've been talking about? Have a guess.
Could it begin with an I and then with a K?
You've absolutely nailed it. Yeah, listen. So the latest is, as we understand, that he's told Newcastle he doesn't want to play for them anymore. The move, he's trying to force it through. Has anything changed? And how is this going to play out, Ben? What's the end game here?
Yeah, I think you'll know as a former player that you have to change your perspective if the window shuts, regardless of whether you move or stay. You either move on or you're at a club, and then you have to think again. Because if Alexander Isak is genuine in saying, regardless of outcome, he'll never play for Newcastle again, that means, in theory, no Premier League football, no selection potentially for the World Cup if he's not playing. So I think there's games here. And Isak's firm reaction to double down comes off the back of reports suggesting Newcastle's ownership have doubled down and will not sell now for any price. And I think neither extreme or position is correct to my understanding. Alexander Isak wants Liverpool, is giving full priority to Liverpool, and won't change that perspective or consider reintegration unless actually Liverpool tell him it's impossible this summer. That's scenario number one. More likely, Newcastle get in their replacements, they reach out to Liverpool, Liverpool are prepared to make a second bid, and then this deal finally gets done. But I don't think there's a scenario where Isak will follow through, even if it is his genuine position now. Because if Liverpool don't succeed, and he says, I'm simply not playing for the football club ever again, he puts himself in a very awkward position should the window shut, and he's still Newcastle United's number 14.
Thing is, he ain't going to waste, as you said there, 6 months of his career because obviously World Cup and he needs to still score goals in the Premier League. But if Newcastle go and get a centre forward first, then Liverpool know that Newcastle are more desperate to sell Isak. So the price ain't going to go up, Ben, is it? They'll just say, no, it's 110.
Yeah, I think this 150 million number on the Newcastle side is acknowledged by some sources as their kind of book valuation, but it's definitely not a number that's been raised directly to Liverpool. So when you don't want to sell, that's the number that gets out. But I think the true reality is a lot closer to Liverpool's original indication of 120 million, maybe with some add-ons on top. And my expectation is actually that if it gets to the point of Liverpool being back at the table, believe it or not, after all this saga, the negotiation would actually be relatively smooth and quick and simple, partly because time is running out and partly because Liverpool will not re-engage without that encouragement. And if they get it, I think the parties will align. The other little clue in all of this, regardless of the 150 million number, is Liverpool's first bid was not blind. They actually had an encouragement from Newcastle to bid. And that's why when they then rejected it so swiftly and emphatically, Newcastle sources may argue it came in lower than that 120 million number. But Liverpool was surprised that they didn't get given anything to bite on. But I think going in with that 110 million, they maybe felt, again, that 120 million number, add a few add-ons, change the structure, something might be possible around that mark. And therefore, I still think if this deal gets done, it will actually end up being lower than that 150 million pound number.
So what about John Luigi Donnarumma? It's now Donnadrama.
It is. It's gone from Donnarumma to Donnadrama, and the rumour was with Man United. The reality is with Manchester City, but of course Ederson would have to go. We know Galatasaray are interested. If he departs, then I'm told that both Donnarumma would be open to having a conversation with Manchester City, and City might very well bid. At this stage, there's nothing advanced with any club. And what's happening is a lot of politics playing out between PSG, who have brought in Lucas Chevalier, young goalkeeper who's going to instantly be the number one. And then tonight, the Donnarumma reaction to being left out of the UEFA Super Cup game with Spurs, and a statement from the player and an interview also from his agent to various Italian broadcasters, basically saying they're disappointed. So right now, Manchester City and potentially others are understanding what would be the price, because PSG say with a year left, Donnarumma should still be somewhere in the region of £40 million, because Mike Maignan was 25 with a year left, and Emi Martinez was being quoted at 40 million, albeit with more time on his contract. So PSG have got this high valuation, but I suspect it may drop because, make no mistake, PSG want to sell. Yeah. Donnarumma now wants to leave, and this could be a really good market opportunity potentially for a club like Man City.
I don't know whether you heard the news that we found reached us around about half an hour ago. Jacob Ramsey, the Villa midfielder, Newcastle were interested in him. Have you heard much about that, Ben?
Yeah, I think this is going to develop in the next 24, 48 hours. So my understanding is there were two clubs, Newcastle United and West Ham. Right. Villa, to an extent, reluctant sellers, but they can use the money effectively. And remember, they're trying now to sign Marco Asensio permanently. And I think they might succeed there because the player's softened in his stance and he will now join a club without Champions League football. And PSG signed Asensio on a free. So there's definitely value to be had there. And I think a very preferable price should Villa strike a deal on the player side first, and then selling Ramsey will give them this opportunity to maybe move a little bit more freely in the market. So Ramsey wants Newcastle, not West Ham. Newcastle haven't placed a formal offer yet, but verbal discussions have suggested there's something close to an agreement or an alignment on the ballpark fee in the region of £40 million. And I expect this one to get done. That probably, if not definitely, rules out Leicester's Bilal Al-Khanous. We know Leeds are interested in him. And still, Newcastle want not one, but two attackers. Yohan Wissa effectively coming in to replace Callum Wilson. And then one more if Isak's sale is to potentially be sanctioned.
If Jacob Ramsey goes, obviously it's all pure profit in it because he came up through, obviously, from the academy. But 40 million is a lot of money for an attacking midfield player who's only scored 2 Premier League goals in the last 2 seasons.
It is, but I think Eddie Howe has this way of getting the best out of players. You look at the back end of the season for Harvey Barnes, who had never done the kind of numbers in the Premier League, although he was relatively prolific for Leicester in the Championship. You look at the slow start of Joe Linton, then becoming a cult hero. I think Miggy Almiron hit a purple patch under Eddie Howe. Jacob Murphy as well, outstanding. So Eddie Howe will feel that it's the right fit in terms of profile, in terms of attributes, in terms of versatility. And it wouldn't surprise me if this move goes ahead, if he does very well at Newcastle United. And I think that's the whole point in all of this, that if you sort of went back in a time machine, banged yourself on a head, had amnesia specifically for Isak, and then removed all the ones that were not actually genuine Newcastle targets. For example, they didn't bid for Brian Mbeumo because they knew he wanted Man United. They didn't bid for Mateus Cunha because they knew United were going to trigger the release clause. Then if you look at maybe Yohan Wissa, possibly Samu or Nicholas Jackson, maybe an audacious bid for Ollie Watkins, now Ramsey and Alanga and Malik Thau and also Aaron Ramsdale. It's not actually, if we discount the fact that no Newcastle fan wants Isak to leave, a particularly bad window for Newcastle United. And I think by the end of the window, they'll be relieved to see it shut. But they'll also, I think, in hindsight, be very satisfied with their business.
Talk about Nottingham Forest. Apparently they've got an agreement for youngster James McAtee from Manchester City. This is pure profit again for Man City, right?
Yeah, exactly. Bit of a surprise because I think the fee will be a bit lower than the 40 to 42 million that drew parallels with Cole Palmer, because City's argument at the beginning of the window was that when Cole Palmer left for Chelsea, he had actually less Premier League minutes and experience like for like compared to McAtee. But it looks like Manchester City have bent a little bit, and this one is going to be well south of £40 million. So the situation is there's an agreement on fee and there's a verbal agreement on personal terms, but there's just a few little things to still work out on the deal before we can say it's 100% done. Maybe there's a sell-on clause, there's the agent fees. So it's kind of 95% there, broad agreement on fee, and I'm told that it should be formalised if all goes according to plan before the week is out.
So if they get James McAtee in, obviously Marinakis will make sure that happens. Do you see any more business for Nottingham Forest before?
Yeah, I think Nottingham Forest are alert simply because of Chris Wood's age, for example. So more goals are still welcome. I think they have explored one more defensive reinforcement as well. And some of this is just planning towards a long season with European football and depth. and the fact that there may continue over the coming seasons to be interest in some of Forest's most senior players. We know loads of clubs, for example, have been looking at Murillo pretty much for the last 12 months.
Yeah.
But Chris Wood's the sort of big one because they were so reliant on his goals, and who knows, he may replicate that season. But I think Forest are really keen, especially after the departure of Elanga, to make sure they've got enough depth, they've got enough goals, they ease the burden on Wood, and maybe in the long run find another young striker that can step up and compete with him, just in case at any point in the next season or however long he's there, those incredible numbers from last season tail off.
And just briefly, any other deals that look like they might be completed in the coming days?
I think it's busy, and I think Chelsea, your beloved Chelsea, are going to get Garnacho done. It's just a case first of facilitating Christopher and Nkunku and potentially Nicholas Jackson's exit. Xavi Simons is still being negotiated as well. So that's probably the one to watch there. Right. Manchester United and Baleba, audacious. Brighton say not for sale, but you never know. Manchester United might try with a bid now to try and get ahead of the other suitors who might come in a year's time. So I think we're going to have a lot of drama, plenty of big names taking us until the end of the window, and make sure you stay tuned to TalkSport because we will bring you all of the updates.
Ben, brilliant stuff, and no doubt we'll be speaking to you very, very soon. Top man.
Cheers, guys.
Ben Jacobs there, the latest transfer tattle.
It's an interesting one with Garnacho. Because you pay £5 million not to have Sancho, whose attitude obviously leaves a bit to be desired. Then you're going to go and buy Garnacho.
Do you know what, though? The £5 million we paid, we didn't pay a loan fee. So that was essentially the loan fee.
Yeah.
So,
but then you're going to go and buy someone. I don't fix a profile of someone younger. Someone who
I'm not
attitude stinks the place out.
Yeah, I'm slightly concerned about that. It's not something I would go check. But they've been like that. They get a few things right at the minute. You know, there's a lot of players that come through that are doing all right. So, watch this space.
So you think it would be better under Maresca's head teacher style?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay. Who knows? Let's look at the latest transfer action with TalkSport Bet. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Bring it on with TalkSport Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com to see all our latest sign-up offers. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Next up, we're going through the back pages you'll be waking up to tomorrow morning. And at midnight, we've got the midnight train. No sport, no politics, no religion, nothing too serious. Have a little bit of fun. 03717 22 33 44. Good evening, it's the Sports Bar here, Groves and Cundy. Still to come, we'll have a bit of midnight train, no sport, no politics, no religion, nothing too serious. Get your calls in around about 7 or 8 minutes' time. Now the NFL returns to Wembley in October as the Los Angeles Rams take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now competition to win VIP tickets is open. Now, that's right, we're giving you the chance to win 6 seats in a private box at Wembley Stadium with full hospitality, plus $5,000 spending money. Here's how you enter: 18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland, for a chance to win. Text word cash, CASH, to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill player's permission, or you can enter free by calling 0330 880 338. That's 033 088 0338. All entries must be received by the 25th of August by 11 p.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. Now it's time for the back pages. Yes, it's the Ralph Ellis back pages, and Jack Cunningham joins us from talksport.com. Jack, good evening, sir. I won't get through all the bits and pieces. Let's go straight into Army Slot, says the back page of the Sun. Liverpool are back in talks over £35 million deal for Crystal Palace defender Mark Gay.
Yeah, so it looks like this could happen. So obviously we all know Mark Gahey has 1 year left on his contract at Selhurst Park. He's not going to sign a new deal. So Crystal Palace have basically this summer or January to get some money for a player who, you know, since he's joined Crystal Palace has developed into probably one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League and definitely England's best centre-back, certainly with his performances, you know, of the Euros, etc. You know, excellent on the ball, reads the game brilliantly. And Liverpool do need another centre-back. I mean, if we look at the fact that Joao Quanto's gone, you know, Van Dijk is getting on, Konate's future's quite unclear at the moment. He's, you know, not signed a new contract either. And Joe Gomez is always injured. So when you look at what the price here is going for Mark Gahey, such a top defender, £35 million, when Newcastle had a £70 million bid rejected for him last summer. Palace are going to lose out on a lot of money. It could be a very, very good deal for Liverpool. You know, we could look back at this one in a few years' time and sort of reflect on such an incredible signing for Liverpool because he's such a brilliant player. I think, from what I understand, Glasner would actually like to keep him for a year and just let him go on a free at the end of the next season, where apparently there'll be a few European clubs interested in him. But at the moment, Liverpool are the only team who can afford him. And, you know, it looks like they're going to probably get him for a pretty good deal.
To be fair, Crystal Palace did win the FA Cup with him, the Community Shield. So you can make a case to say it. And also, if they do keep him, they've got European football. So
no, I know, yeah.
You know, so it might be worth.
I hope that. To be honest, I hope they would keep him. To be fair, like, but,
it's tough, isn't it?
How long has Glasner got left on his contract?
Glasner,
yeah,
I don't know. Why have you asked?
I'm not sure how long.
I think I might be wrong. To be fair, he might only have a year. He might be gone at the end of this season anyway because he's not happy with Palace's dealings in the transfer market.
Yeah,
so
I guess with the manager it's a bit different, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Jack Grealish? He's gone all Lena Lovitch.
Yeah.
Lucky number.
Yeah, so obviously Grealish completed his move to Everton today, season-long loan deal, and he's picked the number 18 shirt, which of course is Wayne Rooney's, and it was also Paul Gascoigne's as well. So Grealish has been speaking about that to the Everton website, basically talking about how Gazza and Rooney are his two favourite sort of players that he's ever watched, and, you know, he's absolutely delighted to be at Everton and be able to wear the shirt and represent, you know, this club with that shirt. And I think it was key the way Grealish was speaking. He seemed really happy. Gets to stay in the Northwest, which is really important. He's got a young family now, so he hasn't got to move them. He can stay there. And, you know, I'm looking at it and I really hope he does well. Really hope he does well. You know, Grealish is such a wonderful talent. When he was at Aston Villa, it sort of got a little bit coached out of him at Manchester City, I think would be fair to say. And I just hope he rediscovers that freedom and that joy of football again. Because Jack Grealish playing, you know, at the top of his game would be an excellent addition for England at the World Cup next year.
Indeed.
And also, as a football fan, I just really like watching him. And, like, I want to see him playing at his best and being free and being a creative talent, because that's what he is. And at Manchester City, yeah, he won loads of titles, he earned a load of money, but it wasn't the Grealish that we all came to know. And it was actually quite sad to watch sometimes, the way he would just sort of pass the ball backwards all the time, retaining possession. I don't want to see that at Everton. I want to see him being given a free role to be creative and do what he wants.
Thing is, he could go back to being the player that he was at Aston Villa, because when he goes, he's obviously going into the Hill Dickinson Stadium, like going to be packed every week. David Moyes will want him to do a little bit of defending, but you might say you can have a rest because David Moyes like hitting the team on the counter attack, so it could fit really well. And back of the sun, taking the biss.
Yeah, so Basuma has been left out of the Super Cup team tomorrow for Tottenham against Paris Saint-Germain. Basically, he's been turned up at training late, and Thomas Frank has decided that it's one too many times, so Basuma has been dropped from the squad. Got to be honest, not exactly a great look, is it, for a new manager coming in? You know, surely you want to be impressing this new manager. You've got a chance to get into the team, because Basuma kind of was in and out of the side last year, from what I remember. Even when they had injuries, he came into it towards the end of the season and had a good end of the season under Postecoglou, especially in the Europa League. But this is such a bad message to be sending to Spurs fans and to your new manager. Like, it's such a basic thing, turning up to training on time. And
any job.
He hasn't done it.
Any job, just turn up on time.
Exactly. I mean, just show up. Literally, just show up.
It's big time Charlie syndrome, and what Thomas Frank quite rightly
he's not big time Charlie. He's an average midfielder.
No, but he's acting like a big time Charlie. That's my point. So the risk reward is, mate, you're not good enough to be behaving like that. No. So I'm going to set the parameters, and this is the culture. I'm not going to have any wrong ones at my
fair
club.
enough. I'm absolutely backing.
Totally agree.
Yep. Definitely.
What else is on the talksport.com website?
Well, you know what? It's been an absolutely horrible summer for Newcastle, but I've actually got some positive news, because Newcastle have signed Malik Chow from AC Milan. Right. And what was really interesting is that he rejected interest from Bayern Munich, Juventus, Bayer Leverkusen, and Manchester United even made a late attempt to sign Chow. But after speaking with Eddie Howe and speaking with Sandro Tonali, he decided that Tyneside was where he wanted to play his football, because playing the Champions League, obviously. He signed a 4-year contract, and it ends a 3-year chase of Chow. Newcastle have watched him for a long, long time, and they see him as Fabian Schär's long-term replacement. And personally, I'm really excited about it. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. I don't expect him to be in the team straight away, because that's not how Eddie Howe works at all. But by the end of the season, I would expect it to be him and Botman as the centre-back pair, and really looking forward to it. And then also, looks like Jacob Ramsey could be coming to Newcastle as well, who, in my view, is an upgrade on Joe Willock and would be a great signing as well. So
basically,
finally, some positive news.
Basically, it was adios, ciao, I'm done.
Yeah, exactly it was. Bye, Milan. I'm off to Newcastle.
Jack, you're a superstar.
Cheers, Jack.
Catch up
Lads,
tomorrow.
I'll catch you later.
Top man. That's the Ralph and his back pages. Okay, here we go, gang. It's time for the midnight train to madness. One thing to do, pick up the phone and get involved. No calls, no train. Help myself and Perry out. 03717 22 3344.